Vimuttayatana. Vimuttayatana, ayatana means basis. Vimutti means liberation. So these are the 5 bases of liberation. Anguttara Nikaya 5 is book of 5. And in the books of whatever number, it will give points according to the number. This is Anguttara Nikaya 5, means there will be 5 points. So this is where we know about the liberation that the Buddha taught on in the 5 ways. So the Buddha has tell us that it is important to be our own refuge. To be our own refuge, we have to take refuge in the Buddha Sangha. So the Buddha is no longer here with us, but with us here are the suttas. So in order to know his teachings, we have to read the suttas. Without reading the suttas, we will not be able to know what he wants us to know. So it's very important to read the suttas, preferably many suttas, so that we can keep in mind what he had taught. And we want to read the suttas from the Buddha because he's the most perfect one. As the most perfect one, we want to learn from the most perfect one. So it is good that we can read the suttas. So I'm quite delighted when BDMS gave me this sutta to read. I have read this before, but have never examined it. Here, it was given to me. And so I would like to say that this is the sutta. It says to be the teachings of the Buddha. So if you listen to the teachings from the Buddha or Arya Sangha, or if you teach the teaching, or you recite the teachings, or you reflect on the teachings, or you have a samadhi nimitta, a meditation object, in these 5 ways, listening, teaching, reciting, reflecting, having a meditation object, then when you have joy in your heart of the teaching, then when this joy, that's called the delight, pamoja, it will lead you to develop rapture of the body. And this rapture of the body will subside into tranquility. And tranquility will then grow into the sukham or bliss. And when you have bliss, you can have concentration easily. And that's where, with concentration, your mind is liberated. So we have a final pathway. This final pathway is through the teachings of the Dhamma. So you can see the Buddha no longer here, but we still have his teachings. When we see his teachings, we see the Buddha. So it's very important to take refuge in the Dhamma. So the Buddha's last words in Mahaparinibbana, he asks us to strive to be a refuge for ourselves and take the Dhamma as the refuge, take the Dhamma as an island. That now, without the Buddha, he asks us to take the Dhamma and the discipline. The discipline are the precepts and the blameless life. So here we want to examine each of the 5. How these 5 leads one to realize. So I will quote examples from the suttas whereby the teachings heard from the Buddha brings about the realization. I chose Sariputta because he is foremost in the wisdom. There are many, many suttas upon which devotees hear and realize. But I would like to bring to the attention this particular sutta, that when Sariputta heard it, he realized arahantship. So it's very inspiring. Now, Sariputta is one of my idols, the Sangha Arya idol. So he was the one of the two best friends who met Venerable Āsāji. And then, because Āsāji, and he was one of the 5 ascetics that have realized arahantship. And when Āsāji told him that the teacher says whatever arises is also subject to cessation, Sariputta realized stream entry. And with his best friend Mahamoggallana, they went to seek out Sanjay Balabutta, their teacher, and told him that there's a teacher who can lead them to the deathless. But Sanjaya was too proud. He says, I am now a teacher. I cannot be a student. So we all know that's not true. A student and a teacher holds the same place, and we will always be students of the Buddha. So Mahamoggallana, on listening to this same stanza that Sariputta heard, also realized stream entry. They separated, and then first they went to see the Buddha, and then after that, with the teachings of the Buddha in mind, they went separately. That means Mahamoggallana went alone to realize arahantship, carried on, and he was said in Anupada Sutta Majjhima Nikaya 111 that he practiced well and he knows how to go through the jhanas 1 to the 8. But it is in this particular sutta, MN 74, to Dīghanakha, that Sariputta realized Nibbana. So without much ado, I'll tell you about this sutta, which is one of my favorite sutta. Dīghanakha was a nephew of Sariputta, but he was not a Buddhist monk. He was a wanderer. And when he approached the Buddha, after paying respects, he told the Buddha, nothing is acceptable to me. And the Buddha then asked him, isn't that view, nothing is acceptable to me, is acceptable to you? And Dīghanakha, which means long nails, say, so. Yes, after you tell you that have is acceptable to them, they just say so. Okay, there are people, 3 kinds of people in the world. And he says, one group of people is similar to you, holding the view, nothing is acceptable to me. Another group is everything is acceptable to me. Then the third group is something is acceptable and something is not acceptable to me. Then he says, the one that says nothing is acceptable to me is closer to Nibbana. And everything is acceptable to me is close to lust, to desire, to holding, to bondage. Because everything is acceptable, ma. That means everything also can. So everything is acceptable. This person's view is close to lust. And those who have a view that something is acceptable is also close to lust. So nothing is acceptable is closer to Nibbana. Then it will say that there are these three groups of people with these three views. And these are practitioners, ascetics. They would reflect, my view is different from quarrels and disputes and vexation. Why don't I drop my view and then don't pick up another view? So it says that this is the way to relinquish views. So here we have Dīghanakha understanding the Buddha and relinquishing his view. So we have taints of sense desires, taints of views. So this is like that. When you have view, you have a mental formation. And when you have a mental formation, you hold to it, then you are tainted. So it is right view is to not have views that bring about quarrels. So that means foremost in our mind is that our views do not cause suffering to ourselves, to another, and to others at large. So after this, he went on to tell Dīghanakha. And all the while, Sariputta was fanning the Buddha, listening to the talk. Then the Buddha told Dīghanakha, since now he has abandoned his views, he now tell him, you know, the body is from your mother and father, made of the four elements, and that it is fed on rice and porridge, and that's where you have your body. Then he says we have feelings, three kinds of feelings: pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. On only one occasion, you can only feel one kind of feeling. When you feel pleasant feeling, you don't feel pain or the neutral feeling. And likewise, if you have neutral feeling, you don't have the pleasant nor the unpleasant feeling. So important to know that at one contact, you can only have one kind of feeling. Then he went on to say, feelings are impermanent. So pleasant feelings are impermanent, conditioned, and dependently arising. So it depends on the context, then you have a feeling. And these feelings arise and cease. Pleasant feelings arise and cease. You can see it when you are angry in the morning, you may not be, maybe you'll be happier. And so when you see that feelings change, then you won't be holding on to feelings, pleasant or unpleasant. You would be disenchanted. And being disenchanted, you become dispassionate. And being dispassionate, your mind will be liberated. So when you know that your mind is liberated, then you know that birth is no more. There will be no more rebirth. So in discipline, he says, we don't quarrel with people over views. And that although we speak in conventional terms in the world, we don't hold on to views. And just as Sariputta was listening to all this, he, in his mind, says, the Buddha directly knows, and he has abandoned these taints himself. And while reflecting on this, the clinging in Sariputta ceased, and he became one of the Arahants. And Dīghanakha, his nephew, became a stream enterer. He says he understands that whatever that is subjected to arising is also subjected to cessation. So we have Sariputta listening to the words of the Buddha, being discoursed to another, and he realized arahantship. So this is the first way whereby a student of the Buddha, on listening to the teaching of the Buddha, realized. And so in the same pathway, he was inspired, delighted, rapture, tranquility, bliss, concentration, and liberation. This happens very quickly. And so Sariputta became an Arahant. So this is one of the 5 examples. And now you can reflect on this. You can reflect a bit that we don't want to hold on to views. We don't want to quarrel over views, not even Dharma views. We don't want to be agitated. Everybody has the right to their views. If they hold on to their views, it's because of clinging, and only with knowledge, then their ignorance can be abandoned. But there's no point to be agitated over others, because being agitated over views is not the way the Buddha had taught us. So this is a reflection. And there are so many views in the world today. Different views from the Buddhist views. And even in the Buddhist circle, there are so many different views. So there will be views, but we should not be tainted by the views. Being agitated, the mind is disturbed. So when the mind is disturbed, it's not the noble eightfold path. There are people with attachment, so it is because of feelings, pleasant feelings, when they cling on to that particular view. So the Buddha says, feelings are also impermanent. And feelings are the ones that hold us in samsara, driving us round and round. We have a mind and body, but we are so much driven by our feelings. And the feelings are the origin of cravings. If we can see feelings and penetrate through feelings, like what Sariputta did, then it will end the craving. If you see that feelings are impermanent, like raindrops, the Buddha says the body is like foam, and feelings are like raindrops. Have you walked in the rain? And when the rain drops on you, pitter-patter drops on you, they are just like feelings. They will drop and it will off. So don't hold on to feelings. Holding on to feelings keep us in samsara. So this is one sutta that I am very inspired by. I hope you all like this sutta too. Okay, now we go to the so this particular teaching you realize. Okay, so we talk about this particular monk called Venerable Khemaka. Khemaka is a Khemaka. He was a very senior monk. He lived in Jujubee tree grove, whereas the other 60 senior monks live in the Kosita Park in Kozambi. So they live apart. Khemaka live at Jujubee tree park, and the others live in another park. Khemaka was very sick, and the senior monks, 60 senior monks, sent a younger monk called 𝗤𝗂 Ma. I think it's Venerable 𝗤𝗂 Ma. 𝗤𝗂 is slave. So he's called 𝗤𝗂𝗃, Venerable 𝗤𝗂𝗃. So Venerable 𝗤𝗂𝗃 was tasked to go and see Venerable Khemaka and ask about his well-being. So there Venerable 𝗤𝗂𝗃 went to Venerable Khemaka. How are you, Venerable? I am not doing well. I am gravely sick. My pain is increasing. It's not subsiding. So Venerable 𝗤𝗂𝗃 then went back to the 60 senior monks and reported what Venerable Khemaka said. Then the senior monks told him, go ask Venerable Khemaka, does he regard anything as self amongst the 5 aggregates? And there 𝗤𝗂𝗃 went back to Venerable Khemaka and asked him this, Venerable, do you regard any of the 5 aggregates as self? Then he says, I do not regard any of the 5 aggregates as self or being myself, belonging to myself. And so Venerable 𝗤𝗂𝗃 reported this to the senior monks. Oh, that means he's an Arahant. So 𝗤𝗂𝗃 went back and says, Venerable, you are Arahant since you do not regard your 5 aggregates as self. Then Khemaka said, I am not an Arahant. The notion of I am has not vanished, though as self. Went back and tell the senior monks this, that he is no Arahant, although he do not regard these 5 aggregates as self, that he still has this notion of I am. So then they ask him, which of the 5 aggregates does he mean as which he take as I am? Is it the form? Is it the feeling? Is it the perception? Is it the mental formation? Is it the consciousness? Which of the 5 aggregates did he consider as I am? Then Venerable Khemaka said, none of them. And then he says, Ayah, enough of this, no? This Venerable 𝗤𝗂𝗃 coming to and fro. Then he says, get me my walking stick. He called it the staff. And then with the walking stick, he went to see the senior monks. And he told them, I'm no Arahant. But then he says, what is this notion that I am is still with you? Then he says, do you know that there is when a flower like a rose has a scent? Rose is my own added because I thought that maybe you all can relate. So then he says, you know, when we say that the flower has a scent, where is the scent coming from? Is it from the petals? Is it from the stalk? Is it from the pistil? Is it from the stamen? What? Where? Which one? Then what would you answer? Then the senior monks will say it's the flower. So similarly, I haven't uprooted the I am. And he says that similarly, when they wash clothes, a dirty clothes they send to the washer, the 𝗍𝗶𝗸𝗊, and the 𝗍𝗶𝗊 will wash it with cleaning salt, with lye. Now there's still, that time there's also lye. And they also wash it with cow dung, which I thought was quite dirty. But they wash it with cleaning salt, with lye. Well, after washing, the cloth is very clean. The clothes are very clean. But then there is this smell. And the owner will put this into a scented casket. And then that smell of the cleaning salt, the lye, and the cow dung will disappear. So it is to say that when you reflect again and again on these 5 aggregates as impermanent, as conditioned, as nothing substantial, is dependently arising and will come to destruction, then the roots of clinging will be uprooted. Then the senior monks told Venerable Khemaka, we don't mean to trouble you, Venerable Khemaka, but we know that you know how to exhort the Dhamma. You know how to explain the Dhamma. It was just when he was exhorting the Dhamma, Venerable Khemaka and all 60 of the senior monks realized arahantship. So they were all inspired, they were all delighted, they all had rapture, they all had sukham, they were all concentrated, and their minds were liberated. So it is this way that when discussing the Dhamma, one can realize the Dhamma for both the students and the teacher, the one who teach. So it's very important to share the Dhamma, because as you share, the gift is both ways. The gift of Dhamma is both ways. The joy is both ways. So this is the second. So I give you some time to think about it, that you all can share the Dhamma, and as you talk about it, your understanding of the Dhamma increases. Now the third one is reciting the Dhamma. So looking for when reciting the sutta, the bhikkhu realized, and it was just yesterday that I found this sutta, Sirimananda, in the Theritaragata. So he was very fortunate that I was able to get this. So now, Sirimanda was a monk, and on the Patimokkha day, on the Upasutta day, he was reciting the Patimokkha. So we know that the bhikkhu had 227 Vinaya rules to chant. So we have the Parajika, which is the defeat, and the Sangha Disena, where you have a group of monks must come together if anybody has committed an offense. And then there is this Pacittiya, which is confession. Venerable Sirimanda, when he chanted this confession, he pondered and realized the advantages of the practice in confessing. That he confesses. So in this particular way, when he realizes that, oh, when you confess to another of something that is hidden, concealed in you, you are able to keep the Sangha pure and yourself pure. So when he reflects on this recital of the confessions, his mind opens up and he develops delight, rapture, tranquility, bliss, concentration, and liberation. So Sirimanda realizes on this recital. So on reciting, you can also ponder the significance, and when joy arises, one can be also liberated. So there are many chants. We have the Karaniya, Metta chant, many chants, and one can have a lot of joy in chanting. But this joy he has was so much that it's enough to have the concentration to penetrate and has liberation. Okay. So we come to the next one, number 4, reflecting. Anuvitakati, anuvicharati. So pondering upon the Dhamma. I would like to talk about Patachara. Patachara was a lady from a rich household, and she fell in love with the male servant. And before her parents arranged a marriage for her to marry a man of the same caste and standing, she eloped with the male servant. And before long, she was with a child, and she was about to go back home, but dilly-dally, the male, her husband didn't bring her back. Then the second occasion, and she was about to deliver, and says, I'm going home. And the husband had to follow. So it was raining quite heavily, and he was gathering sort of shelter, leaves, etc. for her. And after a long time, he didn't come back. And she delivered her newborn. Later, she found him dead, killed or poisoned by a snake. So now you can imagine Patachara with a toddler and a newborn. And then they come to a river, and the mother told the toddler, "You stay here, okay? When I call you, I'll come back for you." And meanwhile, she crossed the river, holding the baby, the newborn, up like an offering like that, because she needs to sort of wade through the river. Then an eagle flew from above and snatched the food. And while the mother sort of wailed and shook her hands to sort of like disturb the eagle, the thought that the mother was calling him to drown. So in a short while, these three, the husband and children, were dead. After she had crossed the river, she asked for directions to her parents' home. Then the passerby says, "Oh, the storm last night had broke the roof and the building had collapsed. The whole family or parents of the couple and the son had died. So her immediate family and her parents and brothers, all of them had passed away. And so her mind became unhinged and she ran about and her sari came out. She ran nearby where the Buddha was. And the Buddha, with his penetrative voice, told her, regain your presence of mind. And these words were enough for her to regain her presence of mind. And somebody threw, and after that, the Buddha says, sons, father, husband, they cannot be your shelter. And soon, she was established in Stream N3. And she joined the nunnery. And one day, while washing her feet with water, and that she threw the water away, she saw the water disappearing nearby, and as she threw some more, it faded further. And then, and she threw the water, it sort of faded further away. And she pondered upon the Dhamma, and she said, there are those who die in young age, and there are those who die in middle age, and there are those who die in old age. We are all impermanent. And that's where and when Patachara realized arahantship, pondering upon the Dhamma. So this is the fourth reflecting to reflect on this COVID period, where there are so many lives that it's like what the Buddha says, like it's overnight. The rain come and the flood came and the whole village is swept. So if one must not be heedless. Okay, the last one. Grasp well a meditation object. There are many here, but I would like to just share with you 2 or 3. Samadhi nimitta. So there was 𝗂𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃. 𝗂𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃 was the younger of 2 brothers. The older was a well-versed, eloquent monk who can chant and remember his stanzas. Whereas 𝗂𝗲𝗃𝗃 cannot even remember a 4-line stanza. So his elder brother told him, you better leave the order. You can't even remember 4-line stanza. You can't chant even. So you better leave the order. So you see, younger brothers most times listen to the older brothers, and he was quite dejected as he stood there at the door of the monastery. But then the Buddha came along, touched his head and held his arm and said, come, take this white foot rug and you look at it. And all you have to do is just look at it. So 𝗂𝗲𝗃𝗃 was so taken by the Buddha, and then he followed the instructions to just look at the white foot rug. Before long, the foot rug, the pure white foot rug, was dirtied and stained by his sweat as he held it in his hands. And then he realized, and the older monk at another place was asking the Buddha to start, to have the dana. And the dana was given by 𝗂𝗍𝗃𝗃, if I did not forget, if I remember it properly. But Buddha said there is a monk messenger who, but when the monk arrived, when the messenger arrived, there were so many, thousands of 𝗂𝗲𝗃𝗃. Because 𝗂𝗲𝗃𝗃 has realized and had gained the power of mind-body creation. The Buddha considered him foremost in mind-body creation. And when the messenger announced that the dana, the time for the dana is then, it was said that 𝗂𝗲𝗃𝗃 rose in the air and flew to the master's feet. And there he worshipped the master, and he was an arahant from just focusing on the white cloth. So this is one example. This is still early. I will tell you 2 other examples. There was a nun, and her name was 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗀. Before that, her 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗀 means she got this very nice color skin, purple, royal blood. She was much sought after by a lot of suitors. And her father said, headache, and told 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗀, you better enter the nunnery. And 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗀 gladly entered the nunnery. And as she was sort of sweeping the floor, and then looking at after that, he would look at the flame. And that's her nimitta. And then she realized, she pulled the wick down no more, no more. And it was she who says, after she realized, she created a chariot and a horse and drove in that chariot and horse, like Cinderella, you know, to the master's feet. And we also know the powers of Upalavarna. When Mara come and disturb, and when she spotted him, she told him, hey, I can see you. I can stand between your eyebrows. So that's how great the psychic powers of Upalavarna. Then there was one last one I like to share. This one is called Bada, 𝗤𝗂𝗨𝗲𝗏. So this 𝗤𝗂𝗨 means dwarf. He was a dwarf-looking, small, short head. He had a very sweet voice, with his very sweet voice. One day he was in town, and there was a Brahmin and a lady in a chariot. And this lady saw him, the short monk, and then she started laughing. And the monk just took the sign of her teeth, and then he got absorbed into that sign of the teeth and realized. And subsequently, I think he fully realized on reflection of the body. But that nimitta of the teeth was the samadhi, whereby he entered into jhana. So he also said that here people look at form or taken by sound. But when you are within yourself, that means when you are in the meditative, you explore entirely within and knows what the entire within, how the entire within works. He says you would not be taken by forms or sounds. So I have finished with the 5 bases of liberation, where we know that who or they realized on listening to the teaching of the Buddha, on discussing the teaching of the Buddha, on reciting the teachings of the Buddha, on reflecting on the teachings of the Buddha, and having a samadhi nimitta object. And when one has joy from the teachings, one has rapture, and then tranquility, and then sukham, gladdened mind, followed by concentrated mind and a liberated mind. So when the liberated mind is liberated for the Arahants, when all the fetters are gone. Okay. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Finish already.
Thank you, Dr. Ng, for this interesting talk. Right, we are now open for taking questions. Please use the raise hand function, and we will ask to unmute your mic so that you can ask your question. Okay. Everybody is quite shy. I shall start the ball rolling. Dr. Ng, the definition of liberation here, is it arahantship or is it any of the lower stage of a realization?
So when I was reading the Sutta Vimuttayatana, that is for Arahant. The Sutta itself is for the Arahant. But when we say liberation of the mind, when the mind is liberated, so generally most suttas will tell you the mind is liberated, or the mind is liberated by wisdom. So the mind can be liberated by technical by technical ways, but is not totally liberated in the sense that the person still has fetters, but know how to liberate the mind. But when the mind is totally liberated, that means all the fetters are gone. So this liberation here, initially, I thought that it's just liberation, because this process of liberation is through the factors of piti, of rapture, of tranquility, of joy, of concentration, and of equanimity. So initially I thought, but I read the sutta again. I think the sutta specifically says arahant. But anyway, we all know from another sutta that once the mind is liberated, it will move on gradually to nibbana. It will resort to nibbana. Yeah.
Okay,
you read the sutta again. Yes.
Everybody's quite quiet. Sorry, you go on.
So that means, what's the time now?
Now it's coming to 2. Yes.
Okay. So yes.
Let's check. Huh? I think Sister Annie has a question.
Yes, Annie.
Wait. Sister Annie?
Hello, Dr. Ng.
Hello.
Can you hear me already?
Yes, we
hear
can.
you.
We can.
Okay. I was just wondering, usually when we talk about liberation, right, there is it samadhi that's the end, or there should be some insight before the liberation? Because all this like there's delight lah, rapture and all that, right? Then goes to samadhi and then liberation. I thought there has to be between samadhi and liberation, by right there should be some insightful thing. What is the insightful thing that happens? I think for Sariputta, he started by saying, oh, Buddha, he's very happy, very joyful. So in that sense, it's very inspired when Buddha talk about feelings as if by really like he very convinced that Buddha saw it, and he saw it directly, and then he can say it. And so I think the spark was the inspiration. Then then he said that he got liberated by clinging, right? Liberated from clinging. So where does it happen? Is it after the concentration, which is samadhi, which I'm a bit confused because I think of samadhi as jhana, so I don't really know how the thing happened, how he can get rid of his clinging in this process of delight, rapture, and concentration. So you understand what I'm saying? Am I very...
Yes.
Yes. But where does the thing comes where he say he don't cling? Which part is it? The concentration, or between concentration and liberation there is something else?
Okay. So so when you fall in love, how do you feel? You know that you fall in love. So you're so happy, right? People in the or cloud nine, they're so happy. They just know. So you see the happiness. So where does it so how do we micro it? You can't micro it, right? I'm just so happy. Or okay, I'm just so happy. When you're so happy, your mind is liberated. So the cause for the trigger for the happiness is the teachings. So the thing here is this, you're so when you read something and that you are so inspired by it. So when you're so inspired, when you say inspired, means inside you the mind has elevated. The mind that is sort of imprisoned in this 1 meter, 1.48 meter long body is inspired. So when it's inspired, the mind opens up. It opens up, and then it is just so concentrated. It moves in such a fast way. So it's like ta 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 ta. It goes up. So it's not like so it's like, so you say jhanas. So here we have there is one Nirāmisa, Nirāmasa. Okay, I don't know what is the, where is it? Nirāmisa Sutta will tell you that the rapture can be experienced in the 𝗂𝗃, that means in the sense pleasures. So people, when they listen to music, they're very happy, and especially they hit the high notes, your mind also go to the high notes. So that's where the joy is. Or when they see a picture, maybe when they look at Mona Lisa, they feel so happy, I don't know. Or they see some beautiful painting that, wow, it's such a beautiful painting. Or you see such a beautiful scenery, your mind also opens up because it is a beautiful object. So through your 5 senses, you could also develop rapture. So the beginning of the trigger of all this, like seeing an object, hearing an object, some people tasting an object, eating, or smelling an object, or touching an object. They can get rapture. So there's no sense desires, rapture, because it's so pleasant. So they go for it again and again because they think the sense pleasures satisfy their bodily pleasure. So the bodily pleasure, the rapture, this trigger is the teaching of the Buddha. So when we say the teaching of the Buddha, then there's certain point in the teaching of the Buddha. So for the first one, it will be the comprehension of feelings. So the comprehension of feelings, he was happy that the confidence in the Buddha is already one notch up already. But it must be through understanding feelings rather than the Buddha's confidence in the Buddha. It is the understanding of that means the ignorance has to be smashed. It cannot be the delight. It brings up the joy, but then it is the further on, it is the reflection. It is a very fast, the very fast that says that it is the feelings, that feelings are raindrops, nothing substantial. Because Sariputta by then has very little dust. So you see, this rapture, piti, sukham, samadhi, these are stages of the jhana stages. And the culminate in the jhana 4. So it liberates the mind. So it starts off with joy. It's inspiring, kamoja. So it's pleasant. Then you have piti, you have tranquility. That means your mind is quiet enough. And the joy comes from the quiet mind. Then the ability to concentrate further, liberate. So in this way, it is a rapid. So it's like a snap of a finger, it went up. So, you know, the Buddha always said like gradual. He already been practicing, you know, Sariputta had been practicing for years. He had been looking for his teacher. 𝗦𝗽𝗶𝗱𝗲𝗀 didn't satisfy him. So he went in search further. So when he listens to the first stanza from Asaji, he realized stream entry. And within 2 weeks, he was already practicing the jhanas. So when you read Anupada Sutta 111, it will tell you the depth of wisdom of Sariputta. So it just requires very little to bring him to the moon, you know, to realization. He's one with very little dust. You cannot like micro. It sort of like speed up and rocketed.
It's partly because of all the work that has been done. He has done the jhana work. He has done all the good things already.
Yes.
It's just like a trigger, the trigger to bring him up to that point.
The trigger to full understanding.
To full, yeah.
So he's already maybe 99%, or maybe he just needs just a little bit only. So that's it lah. Cannot look in too detail. You have to say, you just look at somebody and you know that person is joyous. When a person, is just joyous, is just very happy, is liberated. So you just want contact, just like somebody, you know, after the COVID, you know, it just see you, you know, that instant contact. So this joy that they have.
Okay, I think there's another few more questions.
Thank you,
perhaps, yep.
Okay.
Perhaps I move on to the next question. The question is, any tips how to read the suttas?
So in everything, to read the sutta, I must tell you my own learning experience. As a child, my mother made me memorize the Heart Sutra, and then I have to write, you know, to copy the Heart Sutra. And always wonder, you know, why to do that. So in my later years, when I have to teach, I can teach within a day because I can read the sutta, and all I need is to read the sutta once and grasp the meaning. Then after that, I will write down, I will write the place, the people involved, and then I will write the points of the sutta. After I write all this, I will look at it again, and then after that, I will then have another mind map of what I want to convey to the student. So then it is in my mind already. So first, I find writing very important, because as you write, you understand further, because you have to go into your mind and you register and you write. And then there is a certain understanding with the writing. So with this, I noticed that it can be very fast, the appreciation of the sutta. So you don't sort of like look into details and don't get bogged down by the repeated sentence, because the repetition is for retention or memory. The time of the Buddha, they are very green. All they have is the ropes, the 3 ropes, the alms bowl, and then that's all. They cannot afford to write down all the teachings and have a book and carry books along. By the end of the Buddha's time, there were about 17,000 suttas. And 17,000 suttas are all committed to memory. And they have a systemic way, whereby there were people who would chant the long discourses. So Ananda with the foremost in memory were chanted by oral transmission that they passed down. So, but actually writing was already there because King Bimbisara sent his best friend, the King 𝗂𝗂𝗧𝗧, a message on a plate to say about the teachings of the Buddha. And when the King 𝗂𝗂𝗧𝗧 read the inscriptions, that means there were already writings on the plate, he shaved his head and headed to see the Buddha. So writings were already there. So, but because they have to commit to memory, they repeat again and again. So this like if you condition yourself to think again and again, so you have this repetition. But if you just take the whole picture and know that they are repeating this, then you would just say, this is the essence. So when you read the sutta, like, you know, you just read it. You read it as if you are going to share the sutta. You take out the essence, and then you put a mind map. And then you say, if you share with another, would another one understand? And I always go back to read the sutta again and again, even if I have done the mind map. Because every time you read the sutta, that something comes up to you. So it's always good to read the sutta again and again. So this is a way where I myself read the sutta. I don't know about others, but I enjoy reading the sutta because when I read the sutta, it's so descriptive. You can see emotion, you know, how this, you can see this, the short monk by the side of the road, and there's this lady and the husband, the Brahmin, in a chariot driven by a horse. And then she saw the short monk from afar, and she was so taken by the sight that she just burst out laughing. And she must have a full set of teeth that the short monk can see, and that, you know, can be the object of the meditation. So you see, every sutta you can actually have like a movie, you know, you can see it step by step because they are so detailed. The suttas are so detailed in the description. You can almost hear a pin drop, you know, or the rustling of the leaves, or the beauty of the forest. So, you know, the way they describe in the sutta is so detailed. And because it's so detailed, you can see in your mind's eye. And this you remember. And then some whole collection is in your mind cloud. You know, somewhere the Buddha has said this, and you know how to retrieve it. Either you Google in the Sutta Central, or you ask a good friend who is a Sutta Queen or Sutta King, hey, where did this sutta appear? Then you read that again. Sometimes I'm too lazy to record the suttas that I enjoy, but sometimes you read and then, oh, so happy. Then that's forget to write down what's the number so that others can share. So this is some of the tips for reading suttas. Another tip for reading suttas is that you can read short suttas like the Samyutta, the collected discourses. And if you have any problems in any of your practices, you read the collected discourses, because the collected discourses are done by Mahakassapa and his Mahakassapa followers. And all his teachings are very sharp, sweet, and to the point. And so when you keep reading the same connected or linked discourse, you will be able to penetrate your problem. You're able to see the problem because it keeps repeating and you keep reflecting, you keep repeating, you keep reflecting, and you'll be able to see the meaning of the sutta for your problem. So this is another way. Linked discourses are very good. Then the third one is Udana and 𝗤𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏, all the very short discourses. Long, very short for you, like bedtime, before bedtime, you can read it, you know, and then you can go to sleep with Buddha's teachings in your heart. So I enjoy reading 𝗤𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏 Udana, very short one. So sometimes you get, you have, if you enjoy the suttas, sometimes the suttas, you turn the page and that page tells you the answer to your problem. Many a time it's like that. Just like Sirimannanda, I was just saying, Ayya, where got recited and then become Arahant? Then I was thinking. Just say it cannot be so because it's written in the sutta. There must be a reciter. There must be a reciter that had brought about an Arahant. So last night I was flip the next few pages. It was Siri. Then I said, yes, this is from Pacittiya, from confession, that this Sirimanda realized. And he went on to say that we must not waste time, because every day you waste that time, you are closer to death, and that you should not be heedless when you sit, stand, lie, or walk. And I thought that was very inspiring also. So the Therigatha and the Theragathas are really very inspiring. There's a lot of joy when you read them, of how they practice so hard and realized. Because this realization has to be done by yourself. So the Buddha will give a discourse and say, these are empty seats at the roots of the trees and open spaces. Monks, you must go and practice. So we have to practice by ourselves. Nobody can do the work that we have to do. So we have to read the suttas, reflect on them, and then practice them. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Ng, there's two questions here. I think they are quite related. Out of the 5 ways whereby the mind can be cultivated to reach liberations, 4 of them are related to the Dharma. Only the 5th concern meditation. Is it right to say that knowledge of the Dharma is sort of more important than the meditation?
I think when they, these monks, when they become the disciples of the Buddha, they already accepted his teachings. And so the teachings were in their minds. And their liberation is through the teachings. So in looking at these teeth, the teeth are one of the parts of the 5 parts of the foulness of the body. So it is through the foulness of the body that the dwarf monk liberate through the jhanas. So he's reflecting on teeth. And then subsequently, he also focused on the body. So he realized through that. And that the Upalavana Nimitta was focusing on the impermanence of the flame. So the flame is like our force, our flame, you know, the vital flame that keeps us alive, the vital principle. So it's very impermanent. But what it says here, flame goes out, let it be out. A gesture of pulling the wick down, it says that this is her last life. So it is also about impermanence, and that when it ends, it ends. So that is also based on the teaching of the Buddha. For 𝗂𝗲𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀, it's also about impermanence, that this white foot rug, from white it becomes stained, and so it is impermanent. So in all this, it talks about impermanent and foulness of the body, the foulness of the body pertaining to the short monk, because he just see the feature of the teeth. Because we also know that, you know, foulness are for people who have lust for the body, or even, you know, there must be a middle path to looking at the body as not something to be desired, that it is full of urine, full of feces. But if for a person who lusts after the body, maybe like rapists, like pedophile, then they should meditate on the foulness of the body, so that their mind, who has gone to off the middle track, will move back to the middle path. So if you get some people cannot meditate on foulness of the body to gain arahantship, because it's not their nature. So a jeweler cannot stomach looking at the foulness of the body. And so when he cannot stomach that, so there's aversion in him, then how does pamoja arise? How does delight arise? So we have to choose the appropriate one depending on conditions. Depending on the conditions, to choose the appropriate object. So all these objects the Buddha has taught us. It's about seeing every object as impermanent. And when the person able to hold and see the object as impermanent, and able to penetrate thoroughly, then if in the first stage, it will be a stream entry, because the sense of self, Sakkaya Ditthi, goes. And this is the gross self. Also from this impermanence, very fast or very slow, because it's also impermanence, the conceit. Since everything is impermanent, the 5 aggregates are impermanent, the conceit naturally goes when the fetters go, because it's the same thing, it's just the penetration. So the penetration of impermanence may take 7 lives, or within 1 lifetime, or, you know, with yasa is within 1 night. So it has to be first to see the impermanence in conditioned things. So this does not alienate the last samadhi nimitta, does not alienate from the teachings of the Buddha. And the jhana practices does not mean the many hours or whatever. Those people rise in the jhanas because their concentration is very good. You will just you will just go on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like a snap of the finger, they will go. Just like depending on the lift, you know, it's like the mind is lift, it's a slow lift, very rapid lift, like a rocket lift that goes straight up to how many floors. So it just depends on the faculties and the powers of the 5 phases of faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. So these are all these contributing factors for the 37 factors of enlightenment for the for the grand finale.
Okay, Dr. Ng, there's 2 questions that are related. Is it possible that one does not have to practice formal meditation for realization? And the next one that's related is the jhanas a prerequisite to stream entry or any other levels of realization?
Okay. Right. Now I must scan my brain or scan my mind. Is it possible? So the question is it possible for one not to have formal meditation for realization? So so the words formal is like you have to go on a retreat. So there are many people, they are very wise. So meditation means like retreat meditation, courses in meditation, etc. So I must tell you that there are many people who do not go for retreats and they are very wise. So it may mean that they have, their minds are developed before. So we are in samsara for very long, and the teachings of the Buddha have been very long. Somewhere in the past, we may have practiced before. So when we take connection with the teachings of the Buddha, we may be able to pick up where we left off from before. Okay, so so when you develop the skills where you pick up from before, you may not need to like go for a formal meditation retreat, but the ability to stay focused, ability to concentrate, ability to hold the Dharma in your heart and in your mind, to be able to reflect the Dharma. So this ability to be able to do this, because in the previous lives, then these people may have been Sotapanna, and they can see that things are all impermanent. They don't go for formal retreat, but they know that things are impermanent. If you tell them there is a creator God or that there's a soul, they won't believe you. But they don't have formal meditation. But they are Sotapannas. They are stream enterers already. So it needs to just take. So you see, the jhanas are, so for the last life, so the factors, so the Sotapanna, whether the person is in the last life, the 7th life, where they have no more craving for the world, where through the lives they have started sort of letting go, letting go, letting go. But this nature of them, so they may not have formal retreat, but then their minds are quiet. Their minds, they are simple people. They able to see impermanence. They're able to understand impermanence, and they are not attached. So it's very so when you ask such a question, I'm not too certain what is the reason. Whom I met formal meditation classes, but they can see impermanence quite deeply, and they are not attached in their simple living. So, but when you say no formal retreat, their minds are quiet. They are able to see. They are not attached. They are not burdened. In that sense, they are able to have focus. Now, this samadhi thing about jhanas 1, 2, 3, 4, it just says, it just wants to say right concentration. The right concentration, that means you are not distracted. You are not distracted by the sense desires. You are not distracted by views. You are not distracted about the future. You are not distracted by the becoming, or where you will, where the realms of existence, whether you will go to the heavenly realms or not. So you are not distracted. If you are not distracted and you are mindful generally, then you can be one-pointed. So when you are one-pointed, then there's unification of the mind. So we have said before, the successions does not need to take very long. It can, the rapture, tranquility, joy. You see, when people go for formal retreat, they takes a long time to practice. But for some person who able to just focus and see the essentials from the non-essentials, then they can just fully penetrate through. I remember there is, I think Julian ever mentioned to me that Huineng, the sixth patriarch, he heard the talk, I think, the Diamond Sutra, or I'm not too certain which sutra, and he could understand. And he asked to become a monk, but he was, to study Buddhism, and somehow somebody helped him to get into the monastery, and he was a kitchen help. And he has no formal meditation, but he could understand what was being said. And as a kitchen helper, he was just very, very mindful, but he was illiterate. So when the fifth patriarch wanted to hand over to the sixth patriarch, and he invited dancers. So the one that is the favorite successor to the fifth patriarch wrote this: the body is a Bodhi tree, the mind is a mirror bright. So clean it often, so that dust will not alight. So when Huineng saw this, who does not know the writings, somebody translated to him. Then he says, can you write this for me? The body is no Bodhi tree. The mind is no mirror bright. So how can dust alight? And so when the fifth patriarch went to see Huineng in his quarters, he knocked 3 times. And Huineng knows that he has to see him at 3 in the morning. And there he conveyed the inheritance to the sixth patriarch, to Huineng. So you can say this example doesn't seem to have a formal meditation, live a simple life, have an understanding, probably from previous practice, and then in that life, the vision of the sixth patriarch. So that's to say that about formal meditation retreat. But then the Buddha will tell us we must be heedful, 𝗶𝗲𝗻𝗔. We must practice moment to moment. So in our changing conditions of the life, where life is no longer so simple as from yonder times, then there may be a need to break, retreat yourself. So to quiet your mind, to see the insight, to see the insight, to go inside, to get insights. So this realization of jhana 1, so jhana 1 is one-pointedness. And one-pointedness is you don't get distracted. And I think it is the way the acquisition of jhanas by practitioners is an acquisition. So the way they do it makes it sound so unattainable. But in the Buddha taught through the step 11. So it requires vitaka vichara. That means thought and sustained thought. So you see, just thought and sustained thought. Whenever you can concentrate, wherever you can concentrate. So you can see the potential for concentrating is available in every one of us. It just depends on what are you concentrating on. Some people are concentrating on sense objects. You can see them on their handphones. They can concentrate. And so that's why we say that the human being is able to realize, because we have this ability to concentrate and to create and to innovate. You have to concentrate. So it's either a moving object or a single object, but it is like generally from moving, it can stay still. So this one-pointedness and the jhanas, it is something that can be easily gotten. And if you read Nirāmisa Sutta, rapture through carnal pleasures, that means they call it carnal, but it's through the sense objects. If you can focus on sound and the music, there is rapture. We just want you to focus on a Dharma object, to penetrate that Dharma object. So any object of the body, the feelings, the mind objects. So the Buddha asks you, this is the object that you are supposed to focus on. And what to focus on? To see its impermanence. And once you see impermanence, then it naturally goes into viraga, that means disenchantment. And disenchantment goes to dispassion. And dispassion goes to cessation. And cessation goes to relinquishment. So it's a natural process. And these jhana things may be too, so the end result of jhanas is equanimity, mindfulness and equanimity. So we forget about the get ourselves so tied up with 1, 2, 3, 4, so difficult. But the states of mind of quiet, stillness, joy, and equanimity. So these mind states are achievable. And the states of equanimity, where you are even-minded about things, that you are not so caught up with views or favoring or opposing, Then when your mind steady, you can see things better. So this is my answer to your two questions. Okay?
Dr. Ng, if I may add, Yasser was a son of a businessman. I think he was very much involved in sense pleasure. But in one night, he became a Arahant.
Yes.
Okay, so there seems to be no formal practice of meditation for him also.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I can say. There's two more questions here. One is regarding your mind maps. When you start creating your mind maps, when do you start creating your mnemonics? And where do you start? There are 17,000 suttas. Do you know which one to read first?
Oh, up to you, ma. You suka. You choose which one you like. The ones, so it depends on you, right? And that, let's say, it depends on the conditions. So let's say that we wanted to talk on 74 today, right? MN 74 Dīghanakha. Then if you read it already, then after this, you can actually just do a mind map. After this mind map, you know already, because you know how it falls, then you can share it with another. So this is how you would like, depending on conditions, you choose. So you choose the sutta according to what are to be discussed. Or like some of these suttas, like Khemaka Sutta, like we all talk about these suttas, you can do the mind maps for these suttas, or you read about Patachara. So you have friends and you have family members you want to share, then you just tangkap anyone and just share with them the Dhamma law. So I mean, it's just and then depending on your problems also, what are your problems? So you choose certain sutta. You can choose a lot of things. Depends on your sort of the conditions for you. It's not like you do this, you will when you do this, you cover, you know what the Buddha taught. No, generally.
Okay, the next question. Can we keep the 7 Arya precepts like Sarakani, who attained stream entry?
The one who drinks alcohol, right? They are talking about the, okay. So Sarakani is the one. So the requirements for stream entry in the Sotapanna Samyutta are having the virtues, impeccable virtues, and that you have no doubts to the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Arya Sangha. So these are 2 requirements only. That means you don't break. That means your precepts are impeccable, right? So now Sarakani is the one who broke the 5th precept, right? Isn't it? Just to make sure that we are talking about the same person. Drinks. Now, when he passed on, the Buddha declared him to be a stream enterer. And the bhikkhu say, well, if Sarakani can be a stream enterer, who else cannot be? Because no, he didn't keep the 5th precept. But you see, the Buddha says, Sarakani has great faith in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. When he died, in the last minute, when the last moment, he has right view. He was not intoxicated. He was not heedless. And so when you have virtuous like him. He kept the 4 precepts. He was not intoxicated, confused at death. He has profound confidence in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So the Buddha says he is a Sotapanna. He says these 3 here, who if they listen to the Dhamma, can understand the Dhamma, they will be Sotapannas too. I mean, that's what the Buddha said. I can remember in that sutta of Sarakani. It's just to say, right view is so important at the last. So, you know, when you're dying, where got the chemical intoxicant, he's not taking his intoxicants already. He has absolute confidence. And when you have absolute confidence and joy in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Arya Sangha, it's no way that this person will fall to the woeful state. It's so joyous. So it's so joyous, it will be like this. It will be like a container, a pot, a container that, or no, it's like oil that has gone into water. It will float. It's not like gravel or clay. When you go into water, it sinks. If it has lots of unwholesomeness, then it sinks. Whereas I think Sarakani has a whole lot of wholesomeness because his faith is so in confidence in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Arya Sangha was so great that his mind elevates. So he did not go to the woeful state, and he was a Sotapanna. So also a Sotapanna at most for 7 lives. Okay. You all can read this other sutta. It's not like the person, it is preferably intoxicants, not to take intoxicants, not to touch intoxicants, because as it is already, our 5 sense objects, our 6 sense objects are intoxicating us. We don't want to have a pharmacological or chemical intoxicant that confuse the picture further. So I do not know how, but he is known to be taking alcohol. And in India, they take alcohol. Soma is sort of an alcoholic drink. And long time ago, maybe 60 or 50 years ago, on the 5-foot way, there are many people from that country who drinks, especially toddy, and then they lie by the 5-foot way. But I'm sure the Sarakani keep the other 4 precepts well when he has enough faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha.
Maybe a follow-up question on that. How about people in their last stage of life who has been very pious, who reads a thing? Should they take morphine? If let's say they're suffering from cancer and all those things.
All right. So it will be upon conditions whether morphine is prescribed to them. And I think when we say morphine, morphine is used in the last stages for pain relief and is titrated accordingly so that the pain is relieved. So there is no ceiling. You see, there's no ceiling. Like every house has a ceiling, but the morphine has no ceiling because of the receptors, because the liver get induced, etc. So the person who is an addict, has no pain, will use the morphine to induce the pleasure. But when a person has a lot of pain, the morphine goes to the receptors to sort of block some of these receptors. But this does not affect the cognition of the person. So it has to be given early so it can be titrated. So the titration of the morphine depends on the doctor, the patient, and the caregiver. If the caregiver and the patient are at home and the doctor comes to visit. So we must know that the medicine is for, the morphine is used as a medicine. The medicine is for pain relief. We know whether the person has pain or not. Okay, so when the person has pain, the body is going to be stressed. If the body is stressed, the mind is also stressed, depending on whether the person this is a physical problem. So you use this chemical to treat the pain, because there's an origin, so there's a cancer. So there's a cancer, it affects certain areas. Sometimes it's the bones. And you know what is the bone pain? You say, you have this pain going to my bone. It's such a noxious pain. So the thing is very important that the person be relieved of pain, so the person don't suffer. So we all go back to the first premise of the four noble truths and the noble eightfold path. What we do, pain or not, if we don't give this omission is still a sin, because the person is suffering and you do not relieve the pain when it is possible to relieve the physical pain. We are in the stage where medical science is available. So we are giving the medicine for the pain, not to intoxicate the person, not to sedate the person. So there is a very fine balance of giving the medicine just enough for pain relief. And so they will titrate from a very small dose to a dose where there is relief but does not cause sedation. So this is the palliative care domain, and they are all trained to do it, to give the medicine whereby the person does not suffer bad physical pain, so bad that they moan and groan, and their mind is not at ease. We have to bring relief to the person so that there is no pain, that the mind is relieved, that the mind can detach from the pain and be able to communicate with their loved ones of their final decisions, and not be like moaning and groaning and turning here and there to relieve themselves of pain when morphine is available. And if you have such a view that you should not have morphine because this would confuse you, you should not have an intoxicant. So this is causing more suffering because of such a view. So we should not have such a view that causes suffering to another. It has to be done with the medical professions so that there is relief of the pain, physical pain.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
The person is very well this, they may not need.
Are there any more questions? Because
3 o'clock already.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, then
No questions?
we thank you. We thanks Dr. Ng. Okay. We shall close the session with a chanting. Okay. Jessie, are you there?
Wait, yes, I am.
Okay, please carry on.
Okay, I shall proceed with dedicating happiness to the departed, and then followed by the closing chant. Idam bina tidam hotu sukita hontu natayo. Idam bina tidam hotu sukita hontu natayo. Idam bina tidam hotu sukita hontu natayo. So now followed by the closing chant. Manom pumbam gama dhamma mano setaha mano maya manasa 𝗂𝗗𝗄𝗃 𝗙𝗂𝗂𝗔𝗂𝗄𝗃 kato nam dukam nan veti 𝗂𝗲𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂 Dhamma Mano Seta Mano Maya Manasa 𝗂𝗗𝗄𝗃 Basati va karoti va kato nam su kamnan vehiti ichaya va anapaini kato nam su kamnan vehiti ichaya va anapaini kato nam su kamnan vehiti ichaya va anapaini. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, everyone. We have come to the end of the session. Thanks for attending, and hope you will leave with some good knowledge of the Dhamma. Thank you.